Hello, welcome everybody. As you know, we are almost at the end of this Phosphor-G, and it's our pleasure to present to you our last but not least keynote of this edition, our own Mr. Lorik Haxhiu, who is an expert in the field of energy and natural resources. He has also 20 years of experience in the field. And for all of you that doesn't know, he's the person behind the drones that we have been seeing in this edition. Enjoy the talk. Welcome to the stage.
Good afternoon. So I'm Lorik. I'm the drone guy that was recording all different photos and videos. And also we surveyed the entire area and it's uploaded, the entire area is uploaded on the open aerial map. The title seems to be strong, like revolutionizing something, but maybe we can have a better understanding of this after my presentation. Let's start with energy sector snapshot in Kosovo because this presentation is related to our energy sector. So some context. This is Kosovo A coal-fired power plant. It was built in the 60s at the time when television was only black and white, you know. The next power plant was built in the 80s when televisions became in color. So this is what keeps our lights on here in Kosovo. 90% of energy comes from these coal plants. Not by chance, but it's because in Kosovo we have a lot of coal, lignite. So after Germany and Poland, Kosovo has largest lignite reserves, which now are becoming obsolete. Same like these coal power plants that will need to be replaced. So I mentioned these two coal power plants are very outdated and they will be out of function within the next 20 years. So the question becomes very relevant. How are we going to replace our entire energy supply, the full energy supply in Kosovo in the next decades? And the answer is renewable energy, obviously, for now. And in the Kosovo energy strategy, there are ideas to bring online 1,400 megawatts of large renewable capacities based on solar and wind. As you can see, we have great sunshine. And also, not just large generators, but also self-consuming generators, or what we are calling prosumers. So you basically generate for your own needs. And of course, by bringing online all these intermittent resources, you need some flexibility in the system, and that's where we need to bring online battery storage, pump storage, and other emerging technologies. We have already started building renewable energy. This is just one of the solar parks that we have in Kosovo. This is a 3 megawatt solar park in Kamenica. So based on the figures before, we have to build 200 more of these, okay, just to get the scale of it. And when we talk about prosumers, this is a good example of how this building, with installation of these rooftop solar panels, is now producing or generating 75% of its own needs. Therefore, prosumer, production, consumer, and so that's the philosophy. So our work, we have been working under the Kosovo Energy Security of Supply project. It's a USAID activity implemented by DT Global. My title is Chief of Party, okay? So we have 4 activities. Yeah, let's party. By the way, the music is played in this event by our DJ. So we have a DJ, Kustrim, who is here. Hi, Kustrim. And you will be hearing his music later. But we have 4 activities. One is related to strategic energy and climate communications. The other one is related to legislative aspects. So we are working with the government to change legislation and rules. We are also looking at how to finance these new developments because a lot of money needs to be mobilized. And the 4th activity is identification of sites because you need sites, you need projects on how to do. And all of this with the overall objective of expansion and promotion of private sector investment in renewable energy. Again, what we are doing under activity 4 is we are providing site-specific or rooftop-specific data to private businesses and household owners. And also we are providing them with feasibility studies for those, and also providing different guidance. How we started. So in 2019, December of 2019, I bought a drone, from a wedding photographer and started playing with it. But soon, or very soon, during pandemics, we started getting more into how to use drones, photogrammetry, how to create our own data, how can we incorporate this in our workflow. So we used the pandemic's time to see new innovative ways of doing. So in 2021, after the pandemics, we started with industrial sites. We mapped 15 square kilometers of industrial sites throughout Kosovo, different cities, including Prizren, Peja, Pristina, and others. And the idea was so these are business clusters. So, okay, we got, apart from aerial image, ortho photos, we got also point clouds, DSM, and those helped us make some analysis. Obviously, we were doing manual work by labeling all these buildings, so that was really painstaking. And we used, we calculated solar area radiation, and we were able to calculate how much potential energy these rooftops can do. And what we did, based on this preliminary initial information, is that we prepared these one-pagers or teasers, and we distributed it to all businesses that were in the survey area. And some of those businesses responded. Helicopter, okay. And one of the first that responded, it's what I call a religious object. This is our Peja Bira factory, okay. So this is where all the good beer is coming from in Kosovo. So what we did is we, again, took out the drones. We created a digital twin of this building. And, so we used drones, photogrammetry, created digital twins, simplified version of it. And we started placing rooftop panels to be able to do phase analysis. So we calculated, the energy yield that each rooftop phase can generate. And again, this was provided to those businesses, not this, but 200 of these businesses in form of like a very simplified feasibility study. So we looked at energy consumption. We collected those data. We used those 3D objects that we created, CAPEX, OPEX, and everything, and payback period. And this served as a basis for decision maker for these businesses. In this case, we have a building. We surveyed I think in June last year. We provided this feasibility, and we supported them with EPC procurement. And this is in August. Okay, so this building has 700 kilowatts of installed capacity. And our current project pipeline represents about 10 megawatts of installed capacity. So I can just say that from the time this picture was taken, also this rooftop is full of panels. And then we have some meat industry building there that also are looking at installing. So this is how we slowly are moving ahead. And of course, what is helping a lot is when you go to these businesses and you show them 3D objects, you show them potential energy yield and so on, and this somehow brings confidence that there is some sense in installing rooftop, of course, based on savings that they can have. So then we said, okay, we are done with major businesses. All of them have received feasibility studies. What about households and what about residential sectors? Again, same story. We implemented drones. What we used are these fixed-wing Wingtra drones, and we again started surveying different neighborhoods in Pristina area mainly. So we the intention how we selected these clusters. We wanted to have different types of income level, different types of architectural styles, and different types of even nationality. So we picked these areas. So it's 400 hectares, 380 hectares in some others. So again, the results are as a outputs from the photogrammetry process, orthophotos, DSMs, and point clouds. Again, painstaking process. So this is where I want to come. Of manually working the building outlines. And so you have the aerial image, building outline. You use that as a mask, to create, to cut the DSM, and then do some analysis like aspect, slope analysis. And what is important is the solar radiation that the rooftop area receives. And again, the entire idea is to identify, for example, in this house, which are the suitable zones or areas to place solar panels. And then again, the result of how much those can produce and compare it with their consumption and what is the saving. However, I would like to highlight one thing here is that, I'm going back, building outlines manually, that was painstaking and it's not scalable. You cannot scale this to the entire country. So, okay, these are just some visual representations of what we have. And for example, we have like entire neighborhoods now with this data. This helps us to identify suitable rooftop areas, potential capacity, how much energy can be generated and how much greenhouse gas emission reductions we can obtain. Our intention is to start publishing this on the Kosovo geospatial portal. And this information then is valuable to installers of rooftops and also to homeowners. We also did, for these neighborhoods, for example, we did like a real survey. So we had people out in the field with questionnaires and we collected a lot of data. I'm not going to stop on this too much, but for this neighborhood, we wanted to understand, do the houses, are they with a building permit? What is the energy efficiency level? What is the income level? What type of heating they're using? This was the main aspect of this. We also looked at what type of appliances they are having to understand the age of those. Also, what type of energy saving measures they are taking. And general public awareness, on the renewable energy and so on. And one of the interesting findings is that 60% of people, of respondents, are interested in rooftop solar panels. And I'll explain why is this important. Government is now designing energy efficiency measures, a new call where it will subsidize, let's say, rooftop solar or appliances with AAA rating or heating systems to reduce the energy demand, but also improve the efficiency of these houses. And then we looked at, the number of respondents in this particular neighborhood, 1,089, 424 are with building permits, so those would qualify, and so on. But the most important is that you have a lot of potential to self-generate for consumption. And with the support of subsidies, this can really take. So the word revolutionizing in the beginning, this is what we meant. Not that we are doing some geospatial magic here, but it's how do we get people interested in solar, first by providing them relevant information and also creating mechanisms that would make people do this. I mentioned the painstaking delineation of objects. So how do we scale up? Why is this important? Kosovo Cadastral Agency this year has procured services to do the survey of the entire country. So new aerial images, including DSM of the entire country, will be available. By providing some tools, we can scale up this type of analysis on the country level, okay? And to do that, we need some new tools, okay? So we teamed up with DT Global. They have developed this RAMP application. It's an open source machine learning model for extraction of building footprints, exactly what we need. And the intention is really to perform footprint polygonization autonomously and reducing the manual labor and cost and all the good stuff that comes with it. So the entire RAMP model is on GitHub. You can download. It's open source, and I will not stop too much on these details. But so the RAMP model was initially designed for countries like in Africa to provide quick building counts and to identify different objects. So it was trained, as you better know, it was trained on different types of rooftops, okay? So what we did is initially we took our aerial images and we run it through the existing model, and we got these results, not the best. Sometimes we had roads identified and so on. So the idea was, based on these 15 square kilometers that we surveyed and based on the manually outlined buildings, how can we use this information to train the model to identify Kosovo-specific rooftops, okay? And this is where we started. Okay, so we started with imagery transformation because the ramp model was designed, was trained on 30 centimeter per pixel resolution satellite imagery. We had drone imagery with 3 pixel or 5 pixel, so we had to fix this first. Then we created all these training chips, so they were cut to these dimensions, and it was fed into this model that was running on Google Colab, and as a result, we got these outputs. Okay, again, not the best, but we've seen performance improvement. So we were able to identify all these polygons, always with some mistakes. For example, here you have roads identified and so on. And we analyzed like what's wrong with the imagery, how can we improve it, and so on. But again, with some post-processing, we were able to obtain relatively good information. And it's not cadastral level information accuracy, but for calculating rooftop solar potential, I think it's pretty good. So what we are hoping to do, and how are we going to transfer this, is we had some initial meetings with government officials from the cadastral agency, from the Ministry of Spatial Planning and so on, and we are now getting them slowly to adopt this, to know how to run on Google Colabs, how to make training chips and so on. So once we have the entire country area, we hope to be able to replicate this, and ultimately the goal is, informed decision-making for designing of new measures. So this is entire presentation. Faleminderit means thank you in Albanian, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Lorik. Any questions from the audience?
Hello, I find this your work very great, and I like it. But I haven't understood based on what are you calculating PV yield? Because calculating of PV yield, it is a very complex thing. So you have to have either pyranometers, either some reliable solar data, or based on satellite images, which are including like the horizon, DTM, DSM, sun routing. So what are the source of this kind of calculations?
Yes, thank you. So that's a very good question. Now, the reason we have been making our own surveys and not using just aerial image, because aerial image is flat. So we wanted to create these geo-referenced DSM, digital surface model, because each building and each face of the rooftop has different tilt angle, azimuth, and so on. So the first information is to understand where is the roof face in the position of sun, okay? So we had that, and then for these larger areas, with GIS, which took into account, the calculation. So we actually look at 32 dimensions on for the entire year. It took the shadings, like 4 shadings, but maybe these calculations are not so precise, which would take also, let's say, the next building shadings in some, okay? We do calculations also for large-scale solar, and then we look at those more carefully. Okay, these are indicative data, but the accuracy, I would say, it's plus minus 10%. Okay, but of course, if you want really 100% accurate, you have to take into account far shadings, like you mentioned, the horizon. You have to look at near shadings. You have to look at the placement of panels, nearby structures, and each one of those is then calculating for losses. For shading losses, then for type of panels you choose, electrical losses, and you come down to the energy yield that you might have. But for the needs of the households and what we are doing, the accuracy is not 100%, but it's a very good indication of what you have. What we had a chance is that for the projects that have been implemented based on our calculations, we also took the generation data, the historical generation data, and we compared Okay, and the difference was really a very small percentage of the assumption. But again, every year is different, so many variations. Yeah. Thank you.
Other questions?
Yes,
We still
please.
have a little bit.
Thank you for the presentation. I was just checking for the AI model, for example, there could have been also, there was an open AI city modeling and planning, so maybe you could give that a check. It was just a comment. We were checking that with FAIR, the hot OSM, and they're basing mostly on the building data, and they're just trying to see whether they could kind of do the hot OSM automatically. So maybe, I don't know the model specifically, but I'll check RAMP, and if anything.
Yeah, please check RAMP, and I think there is a colleague here from the HOT or from
probably
from Contour. And interestingly, what we did 2 days ago, so we came here a bit earlier when it was raining, but then it stopped. So we surveyed this entire area, and we uploaded this to open aerial map, and these colleagues were able to reuse the RAMP model and to retrain it a bit, and I think the results were really good. So I don't know, I don't see them here, but yeah, take a look at RAMP. It's a really interesting tool. Thank you.
Any last question? Okay. This was your last chance. Thank you so much
very much.
for
Thank
your
you.
presentation.